Hi, second graders. Welcome to Module 3, Lesson 18 for math today. Make sure you go get your name on your paper and the date, and you have the correct pages ripped out. It's page 89 for the problem set, page 91 for the homework page, and come push play when you're ready to start. Okay, our directions today, because we always read the directions before we start just doing stuff on our paper. Our directions say, draw the following values on the place value chart as you think best. So when we were doing this before, it told us we had to use a certain thing like tens and ones or draw this number using only tens. Today we get to do it however we think best. So we're going to look at the number and we're going to figure out how we think would be the best way to draw it on the place value chart. So the first one says 119 ones. Well, the 100 is easy. I'm going to draw a circle in the hundreds place for 100. Remember, if you need a little help remembering, you can write an H and a T and an O to remind you that's hundreds, tens, and ones. We're going to put a 100 for 100. Now, 19 ones. I could do that a couple of ways. I could draw 19 little circles in the ones place. Or is there an easier way to draw 19 ones than 19 circles in the ones place? 19 has how many tens? The number 19 has 1 10 and 9 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is a much easier way to draw 19 than drawing 19 circles in the ones place. So we're going to draw it as a 10 and 9 ones, 19. So 119 ones is 100, 1, 10, 9 ones. So underneath here, let's write what that number is. We have 1 in the hundreds place, a 1 in the tens place, and 9 in the ones place. And that number is 119. Okay, next one. 3 ones, 12 tens. Okay, 3 ones, easy peasy. 1, 2, 3 in the ones place. And then we have 12 tens. So I could put 12 circles in the tens place, but what would be an easier way to draw 12 tens? Well, if I was going to put 12 circles here, I could take 10 of those tens and trade them in for 100, right? So 12 tens, remember how I've taught you that when you hear the word tens, you can just put a 0 on the end of a number. So 12 tens would be the same as 120. So how would we draw 120 now on our place value chart? 100, 2 tens is 120. Okay, so when we looked at this number here, 3 ones, 12 tens, 120. Okay, and what is that number when we look at it all together now? We have a 1 in the hundreds place, a 2 in the tens place, and we have a 3 in the ones place. And that number reads 123. All right, letter C, 120. So 100, and there's a 2 in the tens place, so 2 tens is 120. And it's written like that. Okay, our next job. Letter D says, order the numbers from least to greatest. So least means the smallest number, greatest means the biggest number. We have to put those 3 numbers in order now from the littlest to the biggest. So we're going to start looking at them. They all have a 1 in the hundreds place. That's how we can find out which one's the biggest first. Look at the hundreds. They all have a 1 in the hundreds place. So that doesn't help us. Now we have to go next door to the tens place. Well, this one has a 1 in the tens place, and these two have a 2s in the tens place. So we're trying to look for the littlest number. That tells us right there, this is the littlest one. He has a 1 in the tens place, and these guys have 2s. So 119 is going to be our least number. Now we have these two we're looking at. We need to find the next smallest number. So we already looked at the 1 in the hundreds place, and we looked at the 2 in the tens place. Now we're going to look at the ones place. So this number has a 3 in the ones place. This number has a 0 in the ones place. So the smaller number is this one because it only has a 0 in the ones place. So our next number is 120. And that leaves us with just one number left to be the greatest number, and it's 123. Next one. Order the following from least to greatest in standard form. Standard form is just the regular old boring number form, so that's an easy one to do. We're going to take those numbers and put them from littlest to to biggest. So we're going to look at the hundreds places first. We have a 4 and a 2 and an 8. Well, that's easy. Which one has the smallest number in the hundreds place? The 2. So 297 is our least or the smallest number. Let's find the next smallest number. There's a 4 in the hundreds place and there's an 8 in the hundreds place. Which one is smaller? 4. 436. And our greatest number is the one that's left, 805. Okay. Now it gets a little bit trickier. So this is not in standard form. This next one, we need to change that middle number to the standard form. So let's read it out loud and figure out how to write that number. Read it with me. Ready? 370. So 370. That's how you write it in standard form. Those three numbers all have a 3 in the hundreds place. So that doesn't help us. We're going to have to go next door to the tens place. We have a 1 and a 7 and a 0 in the tens place. Which of those three numbers is the smallest? A 0. So 307 is our smallest number. Now we have these two left. A 1 in the tens place and a 7 in the tens place. Which one is smaller? The 1 in the tens place, so 317. And that leaves only this one left, 370. Next one, 826. Middle number and last number, we have to write in standard form, so let's figure them out. We have 2 plus 600 plus 80. So we have a 6 in the hundreds place, an 8 in the tens place, and a 2 in the ones place. This one, we have a 2 in the hundreds place, a 6 in the tens place, and an 8 in the ones place. Okay, that one's an easy one to order from least to greatest. We can just look at the hundreds place. So which of those has the smallest number in the hundreds place? 268. Okay, and which of these is smaller in the hundreds, 8 or 6? Definitely the 682. And last we have 826. Okay, letter D. 5 hundreds, 9 ones. We know how to write that. 5 hundreds, no tens, 9 ones. This one, we have 51 tens. So I'm going to put a 0 when I hear the word tens. And 9 ones. So what's that? 510 plus 9. It's going to be 519. Okay. And then we have 591. So they all have a 5 in the hundreds place. That doesn't help. Let's look at the tens. I see a 0 in one of their tens place. So that's going to be their smallest number, 509. And then we have a 9 or a 1 in the tens place. Which of those numbers is smallest? 519. And last, 591. See, these aren't so bad at all. Next, we have 16 ones and 7 hundreds. So we can just write it 7 hundreds, and then 16 ones is a 10 and 6 ones. So that's perfect. This one, 7 in the hundreds place, a 1 in the tens place, and 6 in the ones place. Okay. Oh my goodness, what do you notice about these three numbers? Oh, I dropped my sunglasses. What do you notice about these three numbers? They're all exactly the same. 716, 716, 716. They're all the same number. So how do you write the same number from least to greatest? You just write them all in a row, 716, 716, 716. All right, and that's the end of the front of our problem set. You can pancake flip it over. And let's look up at the back. Okay, order the following from greatest to least. So on the other side, we were putting them in order from the littlest to the biggest. This side of the paper, we're going to do the biggest to the littlest. So 731, 598, and 802. Which of those numbers has the biggest number in the hundreds place? Which one has the biggest number in the hundreds place? This 8 here is the biggest number in the hundreds place. So that's going to be our greatest, 802. Okay, which one has the next biggest number in the hundreds place? A 7 or a 5? The 7, so 731. And last, 598. Okay, we're going to take these numbers and write them in standard form, which is the regular number form. So we have 82 tens. We know to write 82 tens, we just write an 82. And when we hear the word tens, we put a 0 on the end. 82 tens is 820. Oh, I got to scoot this over a little. You can't see. Okay, and then 812 ones. 800s. 12 ones is a 10 and 2 ones. And then that one's already in its standard form. Which of these looks like the biggest number? Definitely not the one with the 1 in the hundreds place. We have these two with an 8 in the hundreds place. So we got to look next door at the tens. We have a 2 in the tens place and a 1 in the tens place. Which one is bigger? The 2 in the tens place. So 820. Next is our other one that's 800, 812. And last we have 128. This one we have to write all 3 in standard form. So 3 hundreds, 3 tens, 3 ones, 333, 333. This one's 30 tens. So 30 tens is 300. Okay, so 300 and 3 ones. So 300 and 3 ones would be 303. And this one is 330. Whew, it's a lot of 3s in this problem. Okay, so they all have a 3 in the hundreds place. That doesn't tell us which one's the biggest. We have to go next door to the tens place and look at that. We have a 3 and a 0 and a 3, so the 0's out. The 3s are bigger. Now we have to go to the ones place to figure out which of these two is the biggest. This one has a 3 and this one has a 0. So 333 is going to be our biggest number or our greatest number. 330 is going to be our next greatest number, and our least is 303. We did it, even though it had a lot of 3s. Okay, letter D, 4 ones, 100. So 100 and 4 ones. This one we have 4 tens and 4 tens and 10 tens. I almost gave you the answer. Let's add those tens together. We have 10 tens and 4 tens would mean we have 14 tens. So 14, and then when you hear the word tens, tens. Okay, and then 114. All right, they all have a 1 in the hundreds place. So let's look at the tens. We have a 0 and a 4 and a 1. The 4 is the greatest, so 140 is our biggest number. 114 our next, and our smallest one here is 104. All right, one more of these. 19 ones, 600s. We have 600s, 19 ones, which is the same as a 10 and 9 ones. 196 is already in standard form for us. This one, we have a 90 plus 1 plus 600s. We have 600s, 9 tens, 1 1. So 619, 196, 691. They all have a 6 and a 9 and a 1, just in different orders. So these two are the biggest ones because they have a 6 in the hundreds place, and this one only has a 1 in the hundreds place. So we're going to look at the tens. Which one has a bigger amount of tens? This one does. So 691. And then our other number that has a 6 in the hundreds place. And then 196 is the least. All right, in the last part here of our problem set, we're going to be writing greater than, less than, or equal to. So let's figure out where these signs should go. This is the first time you've seen 3 in a row like this. So we just kind of look at each chunk at a time. We're going to look at just these two numbers first to figure out what goes in the middle of them. So remember that alligator mouth wants to open towards the bigger number because it wants to eat the most cookies, okay? So which of these numbers is bigger? 700 or 599? Well, we look at the hundreds place, and 7 in the hundreds place is a lot more hundreds than 5 in the hundreds place. So our alligator mouth is going to open toward that 700. Okay, now we're going to look at these two numbers here to see what goes in the middle of them. Okay, so that's done. Now we have 599 or 388. Which one is bigger? 599 is because it has a 5 in the hundreds place, and this one only has a 3 in the hundreds place. So that alligator mouth is going to open toward 599. Okay, letter B, 409. So we need to write that in standard form, 409. So 4 and then no tens and 9, 409. Okay, then this one, we have a 9 plus 400, 409. And this one's 490, already in standard form for us. So what do you notice about these two numbers? They're exactly the same. And what goes in the middle of numbers that are exactly the same? An equal sign. 409 is equal to 409. All right, let's look at our next two numbers here that have the circle in the middle. We have 409 or 490. They both have a 4 in the hundreds place. We look at the tens. We have a 0 in the tens and a 9 in the tens. So that alligator mouth is going to open toward the one with the 9 in the tens. Next, 63 tens and 9 tens. Well, let's add those tens together first and then put our 0 on the end for tens. So 63 plus 9 more tens. Ooh, this way. 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. Okay, we have 72 tens on this side. 72 and then a 0 for the word tens. This one, 720. So we write 720. And this one, 720. Oh my goodness, what do you notice about this whole row? They all say 720. They all need what in the middle? Equal signs. 720 is equal to 720. And 720 is also equal to 720. Okay. Next, letter D, 12 ones, 8 hundredths. So we're going to write that out in standard form, 8 hundredths and then 12 ones, which is a 10 and 2 ones. This one we have 180 and 2, 100, 8 tens, 2 ones. And this one's already in standard form, 128. So let's look at those first two. We have 812 and 182. Which one does that alligator mouth want to eat? Which one is bigger? We look at the hundreds place. We have an 8 here in the hundreds place. So that's where our open mouth is going to go. This one and this one, we have 182 or 128. They both have a 1 in the hundreds place. Let's look at the tens. We have an 8 in the tens and a 2 in the tens. We're going to open toward that 8 in the tens. 2 more, you guys. We're almost there. We have 9 hundredths, 3 ones. So 903, 390, and 309. So 309. Okay? 903 or 390. Which one's that alligator going to open toward? 903. Then we have 390 or 309. They both have a 3 in the hundreds place. Here we have a 9 in the tens. Here we have a 0 in the tens. We're going to open toward the 9 in the tens because that's bigger. And the last problem for your problem set, 80 tens and 2 tens. So first, let's add those two numbers for tens together. We have 80 and we have 2, which is 82. So we have 82 tens. So 82, and then we're going to put a 0 on the end for tens, 82 tens. Okay, 837